I thought the final stage of internal wall insulation was all about choosing the perfect paint colour and making the room beautiful. Boy, was I wrong. The breathability issue remains, as do all the factors that are going to leave us with a warm, comfortable and healthy home. So in this video, I'm going to talk about lime plaster, which is the finishing touch to your insulation, and the importance of choosing the right paint. I'm not talking colour. First, is the paint made with the right ingredients for your home? Second, will the paint leave you with a healthy home? And finally, does the paint support the environment or cause just even more problems? My name's Judith Leary-Joyce, otherwise known as the Queen of Insulation. So just to give you a little bit of encouragement before we continue, we retrofitted our Victorian terrace and now we're saving 75% of our energy usage, and the house is worth a whole lot more money. The results were so much better than we'd expected that I wrote the Beginner's Guide to Eco-Renovation just to help other homeowners shortcut all the learning we had to do. I'll put a link down below in the description in case it'd be helpful for you. So why is breathability important? Well, it's all about allowing the movement of water vapour through the walls of your house so you don't get condensation and mould. It's a sort of passive form of ventilation that keeps your house dry. If you disrupt it by adding a non-breathable, non-permeable membrane, then you end up with problems. If you haven't got a clue whether your house is breathable or vapour permeable, then there's a few quick indicators that'll help. First of all, was your house built before 1940? If so, is it a single brick build and do you have a suspended floor? If you've got one or other of those, then your house is breathable. I'll put a link to a video above to give you more information how to find it out. Just to be clear, breathability cannot replace ventilation in your home. If you're closing off the uncontrolled air by insulating and making airtight, then you must add controlled air back in an active way. And there's a link to a video above to tell you more. Okay, so your insulation is all in place and it's time to think about plastering. Nothing new there, I hear you say, but if you've used sustainable materials, then that plaster needs to be lime-based because lime is vapour permeable. The biggest challenge we found is actually finding a lime plasterer, so I'd suggest look into this way before you need them. 4 years ago, when we were finishing our extension, the lime had to go on in 3 coats, with each coat drying before the next, which was quite a challenge in midwinter, I can tell you. By the time we did our bedroom 2 years later, we could use a product called Lime Green Solo, and that goes on in just 1 day. So as a homeowner, we didn't notice any difference from having ordinary plaster put on. And I'm also told that any plasterer who's open to new ideas would be fine using it, and that's got to be a major advantage. One quick point, let the plaster dry thoroughly before putting anything on it, probably talking about a month, I think. Then, once the plaster's dry, you're on to the joy of decorating. This is often the most exciting bit because finally you can see your new home or your new room emerging before your eyes. It's wonderful. But with all that excitement, it's easy to lose sight of the breathability issue. We very nearly missed it. But fortunately, our decorator loved the fact that we were building an eco home. So he'd gone exploring and he found natural paint. Then we discovered that there's a whole range of breathable natural paints that will make a positive contribution to our home's health and the planet. When it comes to paint, there are 3 elements to think about before you start considering decor and style. First, it's important to choose a paint that has the right ingredients for your home. Of course, the big factor here is finding one that's breathable. But how can you tell? That's the issue. There are plenty of paints on the market that claim to be breathable. The measure to look for is the SD value, as in steam diffusion. It measures how easily water vapour can pass through the paint barrier, and it's based on the thickness of air that will provide the same resistance to the water vapour as the paint does. Now, I think I've got that right, but there is plenty on the web, so if you want to know more, go exploring and you'll get a fuller explanation. But if that's enough exploration for you, all we need to know is that we're looking for lower the better. A genuinely breathable paint should have an SD value ranging from 0.01 to 0.1, which means that water vapour will pass through its film relatively easily. And you'll find the information in the technical data sheet for the product. If the SD value isn't shown, that may mean it's a non-breathable paint, so do check all the details. So what is it that makes the difference? A non-breathable paint's going to contain plastics such as vinyl, acrylic and latex, and they seal the moisture in. So then you can end up with paint that's blistering, bubbling, or in severe cases peeling right off the wall, and that's going to give you problems with dampness and mould. Breathable paints, on the other hand, are made from natural materials such as lime and silicate, and these have got breathable properties so the vapour can move freely, and that leaves the wall dry. The second reason for using eco paints is to maintain a healthy home. Now, a healthy home is defined as one that's dry, clean, safe, ventilated, free of pests and contaminants, well maintained and thermally comfortable. Well, that all seems to make a lot of sense, but do we need to state it? Surely no one in their right mind's going to bring contaminants into the home, are they? In fact, we often do just that without realising. There are volatile organic compounds, VOCs, in a lot of household products, as well as paints, varnishes and wax, cosmetics, degreasing gloop and hobby products. And it's very disturbing to find out that the concentration of VOCs are consistently higher indoors than outdoors, can be as much as up to 10 times higher. So when you use a standard paint that contains plastics derived from petrochemicals, it can have a negative effect on your health. For example, you can end up with eye, nose and throat irritation, you can have headaches, loss of coordination and nausea. There's a huge list if you want to find out more. Just explore healthy homes and VOCs and it'll all come up. But if you're about to start painting now and you can't change your paint, then please make sure you've got plenty of ventilation in the room as you work and leave the room empty for as long as you can so the VOCs can disperse. So obviously if you're using a paint that doesn't contain all those nasties, it's a big win. We've used a couple of different makes of breathable paint. One's Grafenstone and the other was Earthborn. And the biggest difference I've noticed is really interesting. It's that lack of a new paint smell, which is down to the fact that they just have traces of VOCs. Otherwise, when you're putting them on the wall, there's very little difference. The final factor to think about is the environment. Just as we need to think healthy home, we need to think healthy earth. Anything that uses crude oil to produce materials can lead to the creation of harmful toxic waste, VOCs in the air and microplastics in the sea. So here's the big question, can I use a breathable paint on non-breathable materials? Of course you can. If your house is a younger, non-breathable build, it's still worth looking into eco paints for all the health benefits they bring. So brands I know of to explore, Grafenstone, Earthborn, Oro I've seen on the web but never used. There may be other options out there, but do be really thorough in your searching and look for that SD measure. There is so much greenwashing out there and I don't want you to make all this effort and still end up with condensation and VOCs. I'll put a couple more videos here that link to this topic for you to look at. Subscribe if this has been useful and tell me what else you want me to talk about. And of course, let me know how you're getting on. I would love to know.